What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, and you tuned into another edition of my blog. Want to say thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for the support. You know, I'm all about that positivity and that motivation. And you know, I get this question asked a lot, and people ask me, do you think like scared straight works? Do you think that concept of applying fear to a person keeps them from wanting to commit a crime, or maybe can change your mind about committing a crime, you know, or doing something that's going to cause harm to themselves or others? And I say no. I say fear is not to be embraced. Fear is not going to produce a positive result. You flip that fear and you have love. You know, you have ambition. You have opportunity. And with that comes positive change. And so rather than trying to scare somebody or put fear into them, why not expose them to something that's going to change their life, something that's going to make them look at their choices a little bit different. A lot of times people who have done certain things have made those choices based on life experiences. And it's not to say that people who grew up in a, you know, nice household don't have issues or won't do things that are criminal, but I'm saying that as far as growing up in a rough environment and, you know, going in and out of the system and trying to invoke fear into these young people, it's not a righteous path. I know a lot of young people, they're really trying to just find their identity, and I believe that if you gave them opportunity to see other things, they would actually take advantage of those other things, you know, whether it's learning how to work on a car, learning how to build a house, learning how to maybe do other things that are very constructive. It's giving these young people choices, and allowing them to believe that they can do something different. You know, because a lot of times you've been told no so many times, you feel that, you know, there's no hope, that you just threw in a towel, that you don't care anymore, and that's why you just go all the way to the you know, to the left and decide to just like not be a productive person in society. But if you embrace somebody who's maybe going through some troubling times and realize that they're actually reaching out, you know, that's their way of, you know, asking for help, you can make some positive change. And I think, you know, exposure, and for me, I reflected on a lot on some of the other places I lived at in life that were places that weren't violent, and you know, going back and thinking about some of the friends' houses I visited, and it gave me hope. And when I got out, I knew that I could do a lot of things that I had been limiting myself to before. So, you know, exposure, you know, being around certain things, it's not going to necessarily mean that you'll change per se, but at least you can can bear witness, and from there make your own choice. I mean, I know cats that, you know, grew up out here, LA, lived by the beach, never been to the beach. Only 10 minutes from the beach, 20 minutes from the beach, never been to the beach. You know, I have friends that live like in certain areas out here, and they don't go past like the 90 or the 110. They just stay in a certain area, you know. And then I know people like in Orange County, they don't go past the 22 freeway, you know, or the 605. They just stay from the 605 down towards probably the 5, you know. So it's crazy, man, how people put these limitations on themselves and miss out on so much because they don't choose to go outside the box. And you know, I think back to a friend of mine who told me a story, and he was a smart guy, but was kind of like getting into trouble, smoking weed, you know, doing little stupid stuff. I think, you know, trying to hustle here and there, and just kind of going down the wrong path, even though he was an athlete and had potential to do so much more. And he actually got kicked out of college and didn't want to tell his parents, but he went home with a friend to visit with his friend because he didn't want to go home to his house and let his parents know what had happened. So he went home with his friend, and his friend's dad worked for Microsoft, and the house they lived in was immaculate. It was a mini mansion, you know. And he says he remembers getting up late at night and walking through the house and just tripping off the marble floors and the granite countertops and just how big it was and just the different rooms. And then the dad seen him and, you know, said, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, and started, you know, like, how do you, you know, how are you able to live here, man? What do you do? And he started explaining to him the tech industry and what he was involved in and how he applied himself and just all the opportunities out there and what he could do. And it changed my friend's life. You know, he went from dropping out of college to going into the military, got into the whole MRI business, and now has a multi-million-dollar company. And so being exposed to certain things can be life-changing. It could take you in a whole nother direction. You know, this guy, he could have continued on his path, and what he was doing, you know, he could have got locked up over something stupid. And you know, he had already forfeited his scholarship for sports, so he really didn't have nothing left. So this was a great opportunity for him, and he took advantage of the military, and he scored high on his test, and he was able to pick the field he wanted to go in. And man, that schooling would have cost him a lot of money had he did it, you know, on his own. But, you know, because of the military and what they provided education-wise, he was able to utilize that and now have a hell of a career. So what I say to scare straight is garbage. What I say to exposure and life and experiences, that's what's going to make a difference in our young people. That's what's going to make a difference in a person's life, period, is what they can reflect on as far as perspective and how they're living. Big Herc 916. Make sure you guys subscribe, pick you up some merch, and leave a comment.